represents the readings from thousands of sensors. This is a high-tech treasure map for America's fastest-growing renewable resource: wind. Across the country, over 36,000 wind turbines dot the landscape. We converted the data produced by those sensors, revealing stunningly complex wind patterns sped up 10,000 times.
All of this data provides a picture of what the wind conditions and weather conditions are like across the country. With the new technologies that have been developed in the last 10 or 15 years, it's really become possible to predict with quite good accuracy how windy it's going to be at any location in the country.
In Albany, New York, I've come to see Dr. Michael Brower, who uses this mapping data to help identify new wind project sites.
Looking at the simulation, why are certain regions better for building wind projects than others?
The main wind project development area for the U.S. right now is in the Great Plains. Really a whole band from central Texas on up to the Dakotas. Almost all of this area is very windy most of the time. And there are also some nice terrain features in this area, hills, small ridges, mesas, and so forth, which help to concentrate the wind. The problem along the west coast is that there are mountains which are blocking the path. And so the atmosphere looks for channels. One of the main gaps is the Columbia River Valley, which is the only sea level passage through the Cascade Mountains in the Pacific Northwest.
So the Columbia River Gorge is basically a funnel, and so all the wind shoots through that funnel, creating a wind superhighway.
Exactly, and in fact, that area has been a region of very active wind development.
I've come to the Columbia River Gorge myself to get a closer look at what's driving this phenomenal growth of wind power.
Today, the winds are calm, which is good news for me because I'm standing 300 feet off the ground. The only place to go from here is...
I want that guy's paint.
Down!
At the Windy Flats Wind Farm, high above the Columbia, I've hooked up with a team of experts who are doing a safety check on this massive turbine.
Nice job, Buell. I'm not going to look down. No looking down.
My life is literally hanging by a thread. Luckily, I'm up here with Randy Deputy, who knows exactly what he's doing.
Woo! This is crazy. I can't believe this is your job. How many times have you done this?
I have about 3,000 hours of rope access.
You've been dangling with the for 3,000 hours.
Yeah.
In your life.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Randy's work takes him all around the country. He's one of 4,000 technicians who keep these high-tech turbines spinning.
So what are you looking for when you come down to inspect these blades?
Any damages in this outer coat, which is called a gel coat, kind of the protective layer that keeps the fiberglass safe from UV radiation.
Randy's job is to make sure the turbines work flawlessly. Each one is a self-contained power plant, generating enough electricity for more than 1,000 homes.
We'll do inspections to the leading edge of the blade because it's what breaks the wind. So any erosion on the blade is always going to start on the leading edge.
The view is surreal. Giant turbines stretching for more than 30 miles along the gorge. Some people call it an eyesore. Others call it a thing of beauty. For Randy, it's a career.
The wind farm started being developed in the Columbia River Gorge about 10 years ago. That was actually the second job my company ever worked on, was on that site when there was only 16 turbines in the entire region. And right now, 2,000.
So this one area went from 16 turbines 10 years ago to about 2,000 right now. And is it continuing to grow?
On average, wind is growing 30% a year, every year.
But keeping up that pace could be tough. Many of the best untapped wind sites are far from existing transmission lines. Getting the power to customers is a challenge. But here, in the Columbia River Gorge, there are already over 15,000 miles of transmission lines. The original network was built to serve the region's hydroelectric dams, which started going up in the 1930s. Now, these wind turbines can piggyback on the existing infrastructure. But most of this wind power isn't even being used in the Pacific Northwest. It's headed hundreds of miles due south to California, which already imports more electricity than any other state. California law mandates that by 2020, a third of its power must come from renewable energy sources. And Deborah Levine, who is responsible for bringing power to 30 million Californians, is already seeing the impact of this change.
What's going on with renewables now?
It's exactly opposite of yesterday. The wind is at 140 megawatts. Yesterday it was about 2,000 megawatts.
This brand new control room, which oversees most of the state's electric grid, is the first in the country to have a team devoted to deciphering the ups and downs of wind power. But there's a lot they simply can't control.
If the wind blows too hard, 50 miles an hour, the wind turbines stop.
That's so counterintuitive because you'd think that to have more wind power, you want more wind. And so then what happens?
We need to make it up. People still want their electricity. So we need to have fossil generation on standby, able to pick up to ensure that the demand is still served.
You actually have to have more conventional power sources online to pick up the slack if the wind dies.
We'll need something to pick up the slack if the wind dies. Mother Nature is always going to be Mother Nature. You can't count on it.